Wir sind auf Sendung. Warte. And we're live.
Hello.
Hello. Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of RME Essentials. I'm your host, Adrian, and also product specialist for RME. And today I have the privilege to talk with my beautiful assistant, Joost.
Hello.
Hello, Joost.
Hi.
To talk
Hi.
about
How are you?
the Babyface Pro FS. And that is a really, really cool opportunity because we had so many questions about the Babyface Pro FS in the comment section and over our support forums. We thought this might be a great chance to talk with you guys directly about the Babyface Pro FS and show you some things you might haven't heard before. So, Joost, let's begin with the Babyface Pro overall. What is the Babyface
Okay.
Pro and why is it so cool?
Well, the Babyface Pro is a very small, high quality interface of RME. So it doesn't matter if you buy a bigger one or the Babyface Pro, you have the same kind of quality. Only the features are different. So if you look at the Babyface Pro, we have it here. It's overall a very sturdy case. Yeah, so you can slide it in your bag. You can take it with you, and it's solid made. So what does it? What connections does it have? Very shortly, because you probably will see this also online. You have two microphone inputs. So microphone inputs that are of course can use for microphones, but you can also use them for line inputs. Yeah, so you don't have to. What people ask us, how do I bypass the microphone preamps? I don't have to bypass them. I just put the gain on 0 dB and I have a normal line input. Also, the mic preamps are very neutral sounding. Yeah, that's what we mean with. If we go in with the sound, it's completely clean and natural going in and also going out. Of course, if you do not have edited it. Then on the side, you have also two more inputs. There are line inputs, so you can go in there with unbalanced line signals, or with instrument input. So and you can switch it to high Z. The Babyface has also two headphone outputs, which are for 6.3 millimeters and 3.5 millimeters. There is a difference in power, and the 6.3 has 60 milliwatts, but a higher output level, and the 3.5 millimeter has 90 milliwatts, but a lower output level. Then on the other side of the Babyface, we have the USB connection, which where you see is a little bit inside the unit. This is because we have a special USB plug where you see that there is a small border, or I say a small on the side of the plug. If you plug it in, maybe you can plug it in. You have to do a firm push, and now the USB connection is very stable. So you can pull and nothing can happen, and your connection to your computer is very stable. Then on the side, there's also a DC connection to connect a power supply and or a battery if you're on the road. So it can have 12 volt. And the thing is that people maybe do not know, I can feed them, I can power the USB through a USB connection, so I can just give it USB power from any headphone, but I can also use a separate power input. Yeah, it's also a special lockable power input if you have an original power supply, but you can also acquire these plugs online. And you turn it in, put it in, and you turn, and it's locked. So also a very sturdy connection.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why we still haven't switched over to USB-C, because this is a question we get a lot of times, because actually with the traditional USB connector, we are able to have a more safe connector. So I think that's important to mention. Also, for you guys that want to know that, it's possible to connect two headphones at the same time, but only with one driver, meaning there are no separate mixers for these two headphones. They get only one signal. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, but they have separate preamps, so you can connect two headphones without influencing the other headphone amps, so the power amps that are inside of the unit. Regarding USB-C, with the Babyface comes now with the USB cable and a USB-C USB-C connection. So there is no quality loss, but you still have only one cable to your computer. The other side. Then of course you have the Midi connector. So the Babyface comes also with this Midi breakout cable with Midi in out. You'll just plug it into the Babyface, and you have a Midi connection. The Midi connection can of course be used on PC and on Mac, but it can also be used on an iPad. So if you have plugins or instruments with an iPad, and you can connect your MIDI keyboard through the Babyface. But we'll come later to that, how you to connect your Babyface to the iPad. Then we also have two digital in and outs. They are default in Adat. Adat is a proprietary protocol. Is an open protocol. It has 8 channels on 48 kilohertz in and 8 channels out on 48 kilohertz. And it goes up to 192 kilohertz, but there are only 2 channels left then. So every time that you double the frequency, you halve the amount of channels. Very handy for these connections that you can also switch them to SPDIF. So if you have any hi-fi device or any other device that only sends out SPDIF or receives SPDIF, you can connect it to the Babyface. Then we have the front of the Babyface, where you see on this side, you see the and on this side you see the output connections. Now so the Babyface can be fed from a USB connection, as I said before. So we're just going to connect it with USB cable. And we connect it to my Mac.
So guys, before we continue, please make sure you all guys can contact us and write us some questions in the chat room. We try to be as insightful as possible, but sometimes we cannot answer every question. So I see someone has a problem right now with Catalina. So please contact our support forum or our support team. They will be happy to help you out with that one.
Yeah. So if you have unpacked your Babyface, you connect it to your computer, and I want to start with a very important thing with the Babyfaces, which happens often. You can switch the Babyface in a class compliant modus. That means if you want to connect it to an iPad, or you want to use any other device where you cannot install a driver, it has a CC mode, but it causes sometimes some problems. So always, if you check if you want to connect your Babyface to your computer, you can press and hold these two buttons and connect the USB, and then look at these meter bars. They show, in this case, CC mode. That means now the device is recognized without a driver. So you cannot open the driver, or you cannot open a total mix. So that's not what we want. We want to use the normal PC mode. You do the same thing again, and you press it to PC mode. Now the unit is ready to connect to the computer. Then you go to our website. You go to downloads, and you go to drivers. Now watch this. This is one of the biggest problems Apple causes us for installing the driver. This is happening when you have installed your driver successfully, but still your device is not recognized. So we have a special video for that, but I will not go into that in detail. But please check our help and website, YouTube website, if you have this problem. So you just go to the driver part of it. Downloads. Sorry. Driver. I choose my Babyface Pro FS. I'm trying to install for Mac, and I will install the driver. People ask also a lot of times, why do I need a flash update? And why is it not working? I tried the flash update. Well, you first need to install the driver successfully. Your device must be recognized by the computer, and then you can use the flash update. You go down, and now you see that that we have multiple drivers. You watch the system OS that you have, and the one up to Catalina is 320, and if you have Big Sur, you're going to 324. So you just download this driver. It's downloading. I already did that. You just go to the you install the driver, and then if your driver is installed, if everything works, you can open this Fireface USB settings, and you can you have a Total Mix FX installed. So that's actually the three things you have to know if you're installing the driver on Mac. So where did I go? Okay, then we go back to the Babyface again, and I was telling you about the buttons and stuff. And now, because we have the driver installed, we can see a lot more on the buttons. Of course, we have here in, and we can select through the analog inputs. So the analog inputs are the two XLR on the back, and we have the channel 3, 4. These are the one here on the side, and we have the optical connection, which is here on this side. So here you can set things on the device itself. So this is the input part. Now if you go to Total Mix, you'll see that you have also 3 rows. Here's the input part. You see again analog 1, analog 2, instrument 3 and 4, the one on the side, and the optical, the 8 channels over here. So this is connected. If I, for instance, if I want to select my phantom power on the Babyface Pro, I can select it. I can open up the channel with this tool symbol, and I can set the phantom power. If I now what is it?
This is quite a good situation right now because we have a question from the forum. One user says that he can only activate one microphone with 48 volts, and I think we have to show that you can actually switch between a stereo and a mono channel configuration. Maybe you highlight that.
Yeah, sorry. If by default the Babyface Total Mix comes in stereo mode, you see that analog 1, 2, and you also see that when you open up the tool symbol, and you see that stereo is highlighted. That means channel 1 and 2 are paired as a stereo, and I have only one switch for 48 volts. If I disable stereo mode, you will see that 1 and 2 will be splitted, 1 and 2. And now I have phantom power over here because I've previously activated it, but I can also disable it for one channel. So you're completely independent on switching your phantom power per channel. Yeah, so now I activated in my channel. I have a tone generator. This one here. This is a tone generator. It needs phantom power and it gives me a test tone. Yeah. If I would put in a microphone, I would have the sound from the microphone, but now I have the sound of the tone generator. And if I go to my settings, I have a gain, and I can set the level for my input signal. This setting is the most important setting for your recording. Yeah? This is the level that you record in your software. This is the level that goes through your streaming software, goes to your any software in your device from your input channel. This fader, well, I will go on a total mix later, is only for monitoring. Yeah, so I can send this to my phone's channel, for instance. Yeah, so this is only for your monitoring, not for your recording. This is for your recording. So and then you also have the possibility, if you have a very loud signal, you have the possibility to pad the signal. Pad is attenuation of your input signal from about 20 dB. And so if you have a very loud signal, if you have line signals, what we previously talked about, you can lower your signal here. The same you have in your second channel, so you have two identical channels, and if you make them stereo again, you'll see now it jumps because it switched on phantom power, but I can do this for both channels. Of course, I can switch it off. You see that this, if you split them, that analog 1 and 2 are panned to left and right. This is the default function. But if to change that behavior, you can change that in the preferences of Total Mix. Yeah? So this is also an often asked question. If I center this, and now if I do the split, it's still centered. Okay. Let's go to the Babyface again.
We have another question, sorry Joost, about electric guitars. If I want to record my electric guitar, how would I approach that one? Obviously we have on the side ports, we have the DI inputs, and how can we manage those DI inputs for electric guitar or DI bass? What is the workflow for that one?
Well, you just insert your guitar directly into one of these inputs. It says your analog in 3, in 4. Sorry, I just make it that you show it much better. So in 3 and in 4 is related to the channels in Total Mix of X. you open up your instrument channel, and you just set the level. The ports on the Babyface are universal ports, and they're automatically switched to high Z if you put in an instrument. So you don't have an instrument switch anymore. So the ports are automatically will switch to high Z, and you don't need a DI to go into your instrument port. And then you can record, or you can send it to any guitar processor, guitar software, and you can start recording and play around with it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, well, I just keep continuing. If there are any questions, Adrian, then you just interrupt. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, then I show you again some buttons on the Babyface. Of course, we had in, and we can see the monitoring from the input. So if we again select the power, and we see an input signal from the test tone generator, and it's coming in there. Of course, if I go to my side inputs, I don't see a signal there, and I don't have an optical input. And I go back to my input, and I see an input channel again. Now, if I send this signal to the outputs, how this is done is explained in a lot of more videos about Total Mix. And then I watch to our Babyface again, and I see, sorry, here that I have input on my of 1 and 2. Yeah. If I want to select, if I go to phones, I don't have an output. I have to go back to my Total Mix again. I select the phones channel. I put in the phones, the microphone or the test tone generator. I go back to my, and you see that phones here is lit. Now, operation at the Babyface is if I select the corresponding output, I can adjust it directly here on the wheel. So I've connected my speakers to my output. I have directly control of the speaker, but I can also switch very fast to my headphone and adjust the volume over there. Yeah. For the same, I can do this to optical output.
Maybe you can also show us how you can do this with the mono switch later, because that's a question many people ask: how to dim or to mono the speaker.
Yeah, that's well done in a second. Yeah. You can here you have it. So if you go to the speaker, so these are the speaker outputs, channel 1 and 2, and there is just a direct button here on the Babyface, so it will dim the speaker. You see that dim is highlighted, and it lowers the volume of the Babyface, of the outputs. Then I go to the, if I press the dim button, you also see this in Total Mix. Yeah? So this is directly communicating with both the software and the hardware. Then there on the Babyface there are two other buttons, A and B, and they're also called Set and Mix. Set and Mix is now not active. This is only active in standalone mode. I will talk about this later. But for now, it's called A and B. In Total Mix, I have the function to program these buttons. So if I go to Arc and Key Commands, I see that I have the 4 buttons on my Babyface which can be programmed. So I can program, for instance, the reverb on off. Yeah. So if I toggle reverb and I toggle it on the Babyface, I have to, and I toggle on the Babyface, I can toggle with the A button the reverb on and off. So these the buttons on the Babyface are completely programmable. Yeah. So that are the most. Oh yeah, select is also something important in the standalone mode. So now let's go to. So this is if you want to use it, the Babyface on a Mac as your interface. But most people do that and straight on. How Total Mix works, we have separate videos for that. So if you want to know more about Total Mix, please visit us at the RME YouTube channel. Now I'll show you also something that's not often showed on the web before, in the standalone mode. So as I said before, the Babyface can also operate as a standalone mixer. So I have the Babyface. I have no USB connection. I just give it power. And now I can control the Babyface also with the buttons. But the buttons have some different functions right now. So if I want to, for instance, again, my tone generator, and I want to give phantom power, I select my my in part here, and I can now this part is selected, and I switch. Sorry, select. Yeah, select. This is blinking. I press set, and the phantom power is off, and the signal will go down. So all these functions have all these buttons have also functions in standalone mode. Now if I switch it on again, the phantom power, I have a signal, and I want to send the signal to the outputs of the Babyface, so to the XLR outputs. Yeah, so I have a microphone here, but I just want to use it as a preamp, and I send it out to left and right. I can I said in, and I go to the button mix. Now you see that two of the lights are blinking. I can select one, I can select the other one, I can select stereo, and I can just watch the level. Now I want to select number one. It's in the mix mode. The blinking LED is the level that I want to send. I'm sending it now to the output of the Babyface. So this is how you can use your Babyface as just as a preamp. You have a different. You can imagine a lot of situations where you just want to use your, where you don't need an interface but just a preamp, and you have two preamps at hand with this with the Babyface. So this is in a short way, the standalone mode. There are much more functions, but I would recommend to read them in the manual, because you can set frequencies. You can have copy mode. That means if you have something routed to the left and right, you can send it directly to the phones. So there are a lot more functions, but there's a special part in the manual of the Babyface. Any questions, Adrian, so far?
Yes, we have a lot of questions. One of them is, what do I have to do in order to connect an analog mixing desk to my Babyface Pro? So what should I do when I want to connect an analog mixing desk to my Babyface Pro?
Yeah, of course. I assume that you want to record your analog mixing desk to your Babyface. So again, you just connect the USB, and you just you're connected to your analog input. So you can use XLR. You have line inputs here. Or you just go, if you have unbalanced connections, you can also go to into the instrument line inputs. So it's just a way of connecting and adjusting the level of your input. So if you go to Total Mix, most of it, of course, you switch off your phantom power if you connect a mixer. You go all the way down with your gain. And if it's a stereo desk, you just go to stereo, and you will have here your input. Now, oh, of course I have to reset this. Oh, by the way, you can also double click the value and just set it to 0. Yeah, that's it. It's nothing more. Just connect it to one of the inputs on the Babyface. So on the XLR or on the side.
Yeah, cool. So apart from that, we just have general questions, and many people like the general aspects of the Babyface Pro. I think one thing we have to mention is latency, and we talked earlier in the preparation for this live stream. We talked about the new HDSPE AIO Pro, which now has like amazing latency, but we can show you that the Babyface Pro, even though it's USB 2, has also an amazing latency at your disposal.
Okay, so here we're now on a Windows Windows machine. If you have installed the driver, you see the driver settings here. You can set the buffer size here and the frequency. And so then if you go to your DAW and you want to install, I want to say thank you actually for to Steinberg for us giving the license for Cubase. And we go to Studio Setup. We choose our ASIO Fireface USB driver, and I switch. And now I see this latency over here. So this is now the input latency and the output latency for the Babyface. If you have a faster computer, this will be lower. And or if you go up with the sample frequency, this will be lower. Or if you decrease the samples, the buffer size, you see that it also will lower the reset, that you have a lower latency. Of course, a lower latency will be more of a burden on your PC. So try to work with a latency that is good for you. So now now I'll just show you what happens if we go. I have to set this to the same buffer size, otherwise it's unfair. We have two drivers. We have also an IO Pro here, which have also 128 buffer size, 48 kilohertz. So it has the same values as the Babyface. And double check that. 128, 48 kilohertz. We reset this. This is the Babyface right now with 128 buffer size samples. Now if I switch to the IO Pro, so remember those figures? Hammerfall DSP, switch. This is the difference, 0.4 milliseconds. Yeah, so the Babyface is already with USB is already very fast compared to a PCIe card. So people are doubting that who doubt that USB is not suited for low latency audio is wrong, and PCIe are the best. The difference is very, very low. So here you see that even the Babyface with USB is very, very fast. And this is not, my computer is only an i5 here. It's only for testing. If you have an i7 or an i9, you'll go down a few tenths of a millisecond more.
Wow, that is impressive. So guys, always can say that. Please, if you have questions, write them down in the comment section or in the chats. Don't worry, you can rewatch this live stream later on this channel. So if you have missed some part, don't worry, you can rewatch everything. So what's next, Joost?
Now let's have a look at, well, we showed you how to connect it to a computer, but you can also connect it, your Babyface to a phone, an iOS phone. In some cases it also works on an Android phone, but let's show us how we do it here on iOS with an iPad. So what we have here is, again, the Babyface, and what do we need to connect it to an iPad? Of course, you need an iPad. You need the USB cable, and you need, for the older iPads, you need Lightning to USB. If you have the USB 3 version of it, you have the possibility to charge the iPad through this connection here. And of course, you can also use the USB 2, but then you will just use the battery of your iPad. Now we'll just connect this. Also, what you need is a power supply or a battery, and you need to switch it, of course, into CC mode, because you cannot install a driver on an iPad, so you have to do it in CC mode. How we do that? We just connect the power to the Babyface. In this case, when I have power connected, I can switch directly, so I do not have to unplug the USB and plug it in again. Now I just hold down the buttons, and it is now in CC mode. Yeah, so I can switch it back into PC mode if I want to, but I go to CC mode. So I connect my and now the Babyface is connected to the computer. If you have the Total Mix FX app, it will start, and the Babyface Pro is connected. So the Total Mix FX app you can acquire in the App Store, and it has actually the same functions as the Total Mix on your PC, on your Mac. And you can route exactly as on your PC, audio in and out from different apps, and or just use it to remote control the Babyface. You have a whole overview. You can build your own mixer. You can use it to mix live, whatever you want to use it for. Very important if you want to, which is often a support case, if you want to switch between apps, it's very important that you choose the background mode. If I can find it in a way here, it's always the same. Here it is, background mode. Because if you do not select this and you switch from the apps, your audio will mute. So this is a very important setting if you want to switch between apps. Yeah? So it works exactly the same as on the computer. So if, for instance, if I start GarageBand, whatever, my song, I start playing. If I now go back to my AVIX, and I see that I have a playback, and I can, the same as I did it before on the computer, I can select an input, and I can, if I can see it, take down the volume, put down the volume, put down the volume up, and if you look at the Babyface, it has the same output also on my phones. If I take the phones down, it's over there. So here you can see that you also can use the Babyface on the iPad. The iPad is becoming more and more powerful, especially with the M1 Max, where you can run apps from your M1 onto the iOS and vice versa. So it's becoming more and more popular. So if you have the apps are very powerful, so instrument apps, stuff like that are very, very powerful and very good sounding. And of course, you have the quality of the Babyface, yeah. So this is all digitally going through the USB connection to your Babyface. You have the quality of sound from the high-end converters into the Babyface.
And I can say it's really cool. I use now Total Mix on my iPad Pro, and thanks to the iPad Pro and the USB-C port, I can bus power the Babyface Pro from the iPad Pro, so you don't need an external power supply anymore. And that
Yeah, I
is really
forgot
cool.
to tell you that. Yeah.
That's really cool because this means that this is just my recording device with a Babyface Pro, and this is great for mobile recording setups and also for field recordings. And I have to try that out because I had some recording sessions and I get at least 3 hours of time with the with a fully loaded iPad Pro and the Babyface Pro FS. So that's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I think this is the future for many guys. So we have some questions in the forums. One of them is, why haven't we implemented the dynamic section of the UFX Plus and UFX2, UCX, so on, onto the Babyface Pro FS? Maybe you can answer that one first.
Yes. As you know, the Babyface 2 is USB 2. USB 2 has especially officially only a very low power possibility, only 500 milliamperes. So you have only reduced power if you want to keep the unit bus powered. Yeah. So if I connect it to my computer, the Babyface will switch on, and it's powered. Now, with all the functions that it already has, like EQ, reverb, all the mixing possibilities, the display, everything else, this power consumption for USB 2 would be too much if we put more DSP in there, so and have more heavy DSP chip. So if we want to keep the unit bus powered, the dynamics are not possible. So every other RME device which has the dynamics has a different possibility to power. So that's the reason, power consumption.
Okay. So another question we have is regarding the main output when it drives the phones.
Yes.
I think we should show some of the users how you can switch your control room sections from these things.
You mean main?
Yes.
1 second. Since PC mode, you see. So PC mode, and it will wait a minute, and there it is.
While you prepare it, I'll have another question that I can answer. We have a question on how to connect output gear to the Babyface Pro FS. So I made a video about insert and send output effects, and the system the approach that I used in these videos is the same for the Babyface Pro. So what you would do is use possibly the XLR main outs or the headphone output, which is a fully it's a full line output, and use that as the send. And then you would go back into the Babyface Pro either with a DI input or with the XLR input, which is also a full line input. Check out the video, and then you can apply this method to your Babyface Pro as well.
Okay, I didn't understand the previous question with the main out. Can you repeat that, please?
I think the question was, well, I have to check that again. There's, I think the problem comes, wait. I can just read the question. Patrick is writing, I'm a bit confused when main is actually powering the phones. How is that?
Ah, okay. Okay. You have a control room here. Now I understand the question. You have the control room here, which is your main. But you have to assign, and we have a special button there, your main to your physical output. So you assign, and you said, okay, my main out is now my analog 1, 2, so the XLR on the back. But I can also choose it as my phones. Now, watch here. This is now my phones channel. Yeah, it's not assigned. So everything that is not assigned is here on the left side. If I go to my master section again, I say, okay, I just want my main as my phones, and watch the phones channel. It will disappear, and it exchanges again from the XLR 1 and 2 output. Now, if I toggle this back again, so I have my main is now analog 1, 2 again. I can also assign an extra phones channel if I want to do that. An extra phones channel is just to have it, your monitoring and your queue in a separate channel. So I go to phones number 1 and I choose my phones channel. Watch again on the left side, you see that it will disappear and I will have an extra phones channel here. So it's just grouped in here, and so here is now your master for your speakers, and here is now the master for your phones. But your main can also be your phones. So you're 100% flexible in configuring your master section.
Okay, cool. So maybe we can show the mono button, or how you can set up a mono button for the Babyface Pro FS.
The mono button, oh, okay, the mono button is okay. Well, by default, the mono button is over here. Send a signal from my test zone generator on one side. Oh, sorry, where it is? There it is. I've not. So you see it on one side. If I press the mono button, it will send a mono signal. Now these buttons again are programmable on the Babyface itself. So again, I go to options, I go to ARC and key command settings, and I, for instance, select my B button as the mono main out button. So now I say OK, and now I press the B button, and it's mono in. And you can operate it from the Babyface itself. Yeah, so you can program all the buttons in with the functions which are in ARC and key commands. You also have snapshots. Well, it's a total mix thing, but we keep that for another video one time. But again, all the functions in ARC and key commands. Actually, if you already have a Babyface and you would like to have another remote control, or if you have like a small control room and an all speaker booth, but you want to control the Babyface, you still can select acquire the ARC USB, which works for every RME device with Total Mix of X. And so if you connect it again to your computer, you can also program the same buttons again, but then in your ARC and key commands, and you have the ARC USB. So you have two possibilities to program buttons in Total Mix of X. So with the ARC USB or with the buttons on the Babyface. I hope that this helps, Adrian.
Yeah, this helps a lot. So, what should we talk next about?
Well, let's talk about a little bit of troubleshooting.
Important topic for the support team.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of things you can do to troubleshoot your device. Yeah, so for instance, if why I don't see my Babyface on my Mac. It doesn't open the driver. It was successful. I had worked a lot with it, but now it's not seen. It doesn't open it. Well, you can check in your about this Mac if the computer sees your Babyface at all. So you go to system support, system report, you check USB, and you see that you see a lot of devices, but you see also that the Babyface is connected. Yeah. So here you can see. Okay. Now you know. Okay, my computer sees it, but if it's not here, your USB cable is broken, or you have used a USB hub, which is not compatible to the RME interface. So this is also one important thing to look for. I already told you that with the Babyface, CC mode and PC mode is very important to check. If you want to connect it to the computer, it's PC mode. If you want to connect it to an iPad, it's CC mode. And or if you want to connect it to a Linux computer, you can also use CC mode. This is very important. Also, if you go on check on the Babyface, as you can see, I told you it has inputs and outputs. Yeah. So if you for some reason you don't see a signal coming in or going out, and you want to check it, you just take a cable and you go from your input to your output, and then you can see if your Babyface will send a signal back in. So we call it the hardware loopback test, to test if your device is working well. You can do it with the digital cable too. Yeah, you just go from in to out, and you send some signals through your digital connection back in, and you see in Total Mix then if your signal is where is it? Here. So let's do a small loopback test. We have 1 second. We have to get a optical cable.
No problem. So guys, I see that you are also interested in knowing DigiCheck more. And I think this is a great opportunity for us. We have definitely a series in mind with DigiCheck, and that will come soon, hopefully. Yes, we will do a DigiCheck series, and yes, DigiCheck works with all RME interfaces, including the Babyface Pro FS. That gives you a lot of flexibility, and also is a great way to measure and to monitor your audio signals. So we see him a little bit in the chat. Oh yeah, Resolute is also asking again about dynamics in the Babyface Pro. We already answered that question. So after the stream has stopped, you can rewatch the whole stream or the video, and we include the sections.
Okay, there is one little thing I could show you. If you want to use compression, as you can see, the Babyface is very low latency. Of course, you can use a compressor from your DAW, but there is also a great software called Live Professor, and you can use that parallel to your DAW. So if you no, not now. Project, I use open project. I have already prepared, so I say okay, one, and you can add any compression in here and go through your Babyface. You can use any software to go through. So if you want to know more about Live Professor, go on the website. But with this, you can use any plugin that you want with Total Mix FX and Live. So it's a very good software.
And ridiculously low latency.
Yes.
I mixed. You and I, we did this both. We mixed the complete band with Live Professor, and I think I had around like 2 milliseconds of latency. With it was at least, I mean, it had a full band, so it was at least like 14 tracks, and I had no dropouts, nothing. We had latency free mix, and I included all my Brainworks and Plugin Alliance plugins, and had no problems whatsoever on a normal MacBook Pro. So that was really cool, and I think you do this kind of mixing or hybrid mixing also in your on your Windows computer. So it's the same, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You can do it on a Mac or on a Windows. It's the same. Just a little bit about latency. If you think 3 milliseconds of latency is a lot, it's not, because it's just if you see it in relation to the speed of sound, 3 milliseconds is about 1 meter away from your speaker. So if you imagine that in real life, if you hear a sound from your speaker, you're 1 meter away from it, you have 3 milliseconds of latency.
Yeah.
So
and with
it's
a
nothing.
midfield speaker, you have like sometimes 20 milliseconds. So
Yeah.
This is interesting. So yeah, cool. I think we have some. I think that's all for now. So maybe we check out another troubleshooting issue. Maybe.
Yes, I was doing that. Yes. So the Babyface has also digital inputs and outputs. So if we go to, you have the connection here, and if I want to connect a digital device, I have to make sure that it's master or slave. So if I if I have some dropouts on my digital inputs, or have clocking issues at all, I have to make sure that my one of the devices in my digital chain is master and the rest is slave. Now, if you want to check if your Babyface works properly on the digital outputs, you take just an optical cable, just a normal Toslink cable. You connect it to the input and to the output, and then you see in the settings of your Babyface that you have a sync. Yeah. So the Babyface is now synced with itself. It's on internal. That means it's master, and it gives a sync to the input, and it shows here that it's getting a sync. Now, if I start any music, doesn't matter what.
Something that is free of any copyright.
You won't hear it. It's not here.
Yeah, cool.
So as you can see that I send it here to the digital output. So if I click on the output, I see that the signal, my playback signal from iTunes, is going to the output. It's sending to the digital output, and it's also receiving something on the digital input. So you can check this. If I put this up, it will influence the output. So this way you can easily troubleshoot your digital input. If you have an SPDIF device, you can switch the optical output from Adat to SPDIF. Now, the Babyface switched the output to SPDIF, but the input is automatically, it will recognize automatically if it's an SPDIF signal or an Adat signal. So this can also be very handy in your studio if you want to connect any digital equipment. Well, now we're here, we also can talk about the EQ for record. So the Babyface has the EQ built in. If I want to record this signal and I activate the EQ, this is for monitoring only right now. So if I would route this signal to my phones and I would select an EQ or whatever, it would only be hearable on the phones, but it will not be recorded. But for some reason, if I really like the sound of the EQ, I can activate the EQ for record, and I will also record the EQ. So in some cases this is nice. If you want to, you can do a little trick. It's more advanced routing right now, but I still will tell it. So you have your EQ signal here, and I also want to have. Sorry, this is an unqueued. No, I will leave this. This is too complicated.
So
But
maybe
normally you can have, if you have like a microphone, you can have record it clean. You route it to an output. You do the loopback and you record it with EQ. That's also a possibility. But that we'll do later.
Yeah. So we have another question. In fact, we have two questions. So the one question is, because of the two headphone outs, is there a way to mute one and leave the other one audible and vice versa? I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's also addressing the separate headphone output mix submixes. Maybe you want to refer to that?
Yes, well, the Babyface itself has only one phone send. So if you look here, I have only one phone send, and on the side of the Babyface, their connections, they have the same DA converter inside in here, but they have two separate headphone amps. That's what I was explaining at the beginning of the webinar. If you want to have separate headphone outputs, you can also configure the phone's one as a digital output. So now my phone's is a digital output, and I can connect the phone's output, for instance, to ADI to DAC or any other digital DAC which has a very good headphone output, and then you can have a separate mute. So if you want to have multiple and flexible muting with headphones, you need to expand the Babyface.
Yeah. Okay, so another question is regarding the reverb and the delay. If it's possible to activate both on individual channels, so that they can separate the channels in Total Mix Effects.
You mean that there is one with reverb and one without reverb?
Yeah.
Okay, that's so you can add reverb with this slider. You see in every channel you see this slider. So if I route this signal to my phones, yes, sorry, again, you see this slider over here, overall at every channel. So I route this to my phones. I select reverb, and now if I want to, then I see it here. I activate the reverb. Now it's on, and the delay return of the effects is over here. So now I have one channel with reverb. You can also, and then of course it depends on the outputs. If I take the main out, you just route it to the main output, but you leave this fader down. So then you have one output without reverb, one output with reverb. But there is only one effect channel, so you cannot have multiple multiple sorts of presets in your outputs. It's only one effect engine, and that can be fed to the outputs. But you can also mix a little bit here with echo and the mix and the volume, but it will all be the same here on the outputs, on the returns.
Yes. So I think we have another great question, because that will highlight the possibility and the flexibility of Loopback. One of our users is asking if he could use the Adat channels for mixing his drum kit. And yes, in fact, you can do that by combining all the channels together and using a Loopback master channel. Maybe you can show that a little bit, Joost.
Yeah, so if you, for instance, if you would connect everything to your digital input to the 8 channels in Total Mix. So you connect, Adat channel to, oh, it doesn't matter. Wait, I will show it live. I can do it. So I connect SPDIF Adat to my inputs here, for instance, 8 channels, and they will arrive at the input channels over here. So now I have just a stereo channel. Maybe I also will have more channels over here, and I mix them to, for instance, Adat 7.8. So I select my Adat 7.8, I route in my audio, and I route that, and I route that, and I route that to it, and it all arrives here. Now here it's already highlighted. I have a loopback channel. That means that if everything that I have here on my output will be looped back to Adat 7 and 8. So if I open up any DAW, for instance, Reaper, to set my device, do that quickly, preferences, Midi device, Babyface Pro, apply, okay, I insert a channel, and now as you can see here in Total Mix, I have a signal here on Adat 7.8, not here on the input. Yeah, but I route this signal to the output. That means if I go to my DAW and I select Adat 7.8 and I start recording, I have the output of the Adat. So this is how you can mix your whole settings. That is because I have a feedback now here. So, and you see that you can record your whole mix. So you can mix your channels together, send that to an output, start loopback, and record that output.
Yes.
I hope that is clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Maybe too fast.
No, I think that's cool. We have another question from Patrick Post Music, and he wants some real life examples for using Adat with the Babyface Pro. And I think one of them, a feature that I use the Adat ports for is to integrate the ADI2 Pro or the ADI2 DAC into Total Mix Effects, because maybe you don't know, but the ADI2 Pro or the ADI2 DAC do have Total Mix, but they have a great sound and just a great.
They don't have Total Mix. The
Yes,
ADI2 DAC doesn't have Total Mix.
Exactly, they don't have Total Mix, but when you connect it via ADAT or SPDIF to the Babyface Pro, you can use the Babyface Pro and route signals to the ADI2 series, like you would do with any other device, and that is pretty awesome because you have the great sound and the amazing headphone amps while having the flexibility of Total Mix effects, and I think that's a great benefit. What other real life example apart from using 8 in or output channels would you have for the ADATs, Joost?
Oh, well, of course, you can have it with any mic preamp. So you can just add 8 microphones devices to your Babyface. So, for instance, the Ecstasy has 8 microphone channels, but 4 instrument channels. You can use any other device with line out. If you want to use, for instance, don't make a mistake. Is it the 1610? The new 1610. It has 8 out. So if you want to have more line in and line out, so in this case line ins you'll go here, line in, and go into your Babyface, and you have 8 more channels. So it can be used for multiple devices. Again, if you want to use the Babyface or you want to have a mastering device, the ADI2 DAC has Adat in and out, so you can use it for your master, but you can also use it. You can also make it to use a separate headphone channel and high-end headphone channel. So there are unbelievably many possibilities to expand it. So the ADAT out, the SPDIF out, can be very valuable for your workflow.
Yes. So I think we can wrap it up for today.
Okay.
I think we have answered a lot of questions, and also we now have reached our 1 hour limit that we set to ourselves. We try to make this stream more often, I think, about different topics. And Joost, thanks again for being on the show. And
yes.
If you have any questions for Joost and Marcus, who is also a support guy, maybe Joost, you can tell us what your support address is.
This transmission is coming from Audio AG in Germany. If you want to connect us, you can call, of course, our support number, request support, and you have the number down below here, which are these opening times. But if you want to reach out, you can drop us also an email, or you contact our headquarters, adioag.com, and that is where you can. Oh, we're not reachable. There we are. So here we are. If you want to know, and if you want to reach us for any other questions, this is the European headquarters. Of course, you can also contact your local distributor if you have any other questions for sales, or if you want to talk in your own language to a technical guy, you can also contact your local distributor.
Yeah, cool. So I think we wrap it up, because it's now I think an hour is a good wrap. So you can rewatch this series later on this channel, because YouTube will need some time to just to convert the video, and then we will add some chapters for you to skip through the whole session. So thanks again, Joost, and we see each other
You too.
next time. See ya.
Okay, see you. Bye bye.